It is the Riot Podcast, deep in the heart of prepping for tomorrow's show.
Tomorrow being Friday, we should be joined by Everything in Slow Motion, a band that we play on RadioU. But for today, we still have a lot of stellar stuff to offer for this podcast.
Yeah, I get a little ranty about the presidential election and the judicial nomination process.
Sure.
So I just apologize in advance if maybe I'm too honest.
No, I think you were fine.
So there's that.
You have a right to have some thoughts about it, too.
Yeah, I try to keep that stuff quiet because I know, they're hot topics and all that kind of stuff. But it's really been something the last couple days. Other things that we have discussed, not in any order. We talked Dunkin Donuts.
We do. They have a new donut, and we talk a prank. That might be something you're interested in.
It's an idea. We talk about your dog's midlife crisis.
Yep.
What they're doing in Beverly Hills for Halloween. How to make your plasma donation worth even more.
Why you might be tempted now to make plasma donations?
Maybe it's not a good idea. I'm just saying. Let's see. That's good enough.
Everything else will just be a surprise?
Well, you know what I did in prepping for tomorrow's show? I closed out the stuff from today.
Hey, I'm glad you remembered what you remembered.
And I'll just tell you, we're having some trouble with our recording. So hopefully that does not show up in this podcast.
Hopefully everything should be good. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you say hey, 877-2-RADIO-U when you're done with the podcast. Just throw us a text and say hello.
All right, you guys enjoy.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
If it's louder than it has to be and way worse than it has any right to be, it must be the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Okay, here's my big political thought that nobody's going to maybe want to hear. We'll see.
Well, don't preface this that way. Like, maybe we do want to hear it.
Okay, so first off, a little bit of bias warning. I think I kind of like Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court nominee. Now, I haven't looked super hard at her politics. I just know people like her. I have a couple of ladies in my life that I know that are highly educated, very competent, and they have way too many kids. And they have so many kids that after a while they're like, we'll just adopt more. Just keep bringing them in.
It's a lot.
And I'm just like, what are you doing? Why do you have all these? But I don't know. They seem to be doing fine.
Sure.
And I like them. And so she reminds me of some people in my life that I like. So there's my bias warning up front. So I was watching last night some of these confirmation hearings as the Senate is kind of grilling her to see whether or not they're going to let her be on the Supreme Court. So I'm watching this. And here's the thing I thought was I would love, and this has gone on for days, right? I would love to see our presidential candidates stand up under days and days of this kind of questioning.
But just get it done all in several days?
Well, the reality of it is,
separate it?
I don't think they could take it.
Sure.
I don't think the people that we have running for president right now could sit in a hot seat like that for days. I don't think that they would be able to keep it together long enough. And so that's what I want to say. I would like to see presidential candidate confirmation hearings. There's probably some reason why that's not constitutional, and I'm a terrible person for wanting that.
You just want to see what that would look like?
But I just wonder.
Is it more curious?
Can you imagine Joe Biden 5 days in the hot seat? Can you imagine President Trump 5 days in the hot seat like that? I just don't know how that would go.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine things. I imagine how it would go.
Well, it would be nice if it wasn't and if they weren't together, so then we don't have, the debate problem. You would just have them separately, each individually do it.
They would kind of get grilled.
Yeah.
And you know what? It would just be interesting to see because, again, she seems to be somebody that I kind of like. And I know that means that I'm a terrible person for liking her, or I'm a terrible person for not liking her more.
There's always that.
I get it. But I have been, like her politics or not, I've just been impressed with the very competent way that I feel like she at least carries herself.
How calm it is.
I don't know that we have presidential candidates with that level of poise.
That's a good way to put it.
And I don't know. I'm kind of impressed by it. So whatever. Just to be clear, I will not be voting in the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah, you don't get. Did you not get your mail in?
No, I don't have a vote. I don't have a horse in this race.
You don't have a voice with that.
I don't. But I just thought, I was like, man, to go day after day after day, to have them kind of come after you, your kids, your life, all this stuff. And I suppose we could argue the press does that to our presidential candidates every day, but not like this.
Not face to face.
Face to face, and they have to sit there and take it. She has to sit there and take it and be like, well, Senator, I blah, 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 blah. Dude. I'd like to see it.
That would be something. Not going to happen probably, but it would be something.
No, it's not a thing, and there's probably separation of powers, some reason why. Though here we've got the, legislative vetting the judicial. I don't know.
You thought they were bad live? Well, just wait until you hear this. The Worst of the Riot podcast with Obadiah and Nikki.
Okay, Nikki, the CDC has a message for you.
What do they say?
Thanksgiving's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I think we all deep down know that.
Yeah, but now it's official.
Now it's official? And you can't postpone this, so I'm afraid this one's getting canceled.
Thanksgiving is now in February.
I'll tell you what, no, we'll look at it again in 21. So we'll see about next year.
I am wondering, I have airline tickets to go to Oregon on November 19th or 20th. I don't know, somewhere in there. And
are you still going back and forth?
No, I'm still going.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if the airlines are going to be running by then.
Yeah, I mean, they are still running.
Yeah, I know.
There's lots of people that are still traveling. It's just depending on where. You're not going to I'm
not going to a major metro area, but
so maybe it's a little easier.
I will be in airports.
That's true.
That's the thing that I think about. It's not so much that I think, I'm going to go see my family and they're going to infect me. No. It's the airport.
But your airports you're going to.
The toilet of society.
Those are not the big ones.
It's true.
I don't think it'll be as crowded as if you're still going to like Orlando or, places in major airports where they're still working.
You are partially right. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I live to contradict you, Nikki, but the problem that I'm finding is I get emails approximately every other day from United about how my flights have changed.
Maybe because it is smaller.
And they're like, originally, I was flying from where I am to, it was practically a direct flight. I had one stop in Denver.
Yeah.
That was it. I now have 3 stops on my way. And I have learned that it doesn't matter what they do with your departure time. They can play with your departure time all day long as they make sure that you're there within 90 minutes of your arrival time for the ticket that you purchased.
So they can make your departure time earlier, but as long as you're still getting there around the same time, you can't cancel the flight easily?
My return flight, I was supposed to leave at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
I am now leaving at 5:30 a.m. My return flights have gone from a total travel time of 7 hours to 13 hours.
That is criminal that they can do that.
I agree with you.
But they'll keep doing it because, flights, if they're not being booked enough, because, again, you're not going to some of the larger airports where travel will probably be as big.
Yeah.
They're going to keep changing them on you.
I imagine that I'm either going to be packed in like sardines or I'll just be all alone on a flight.
Guess what? They're making it to where it's not going to be that first one. Or it's not going to be all alone. You're going to be packed in.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. They're making it that way.
Fine. Well, the CDC's not happy about that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell the flight attendant that when they see me.
Why don't you print it out and then show it to them when you're going through all the things to be safe, but then you're still sitting so close to everybody else.
Here's a photo of Robert Redfield, the director of the Centers for Disease Control. Do you see his look of concern and disdain?
Was he saying anything else, or was it just concerning travel at Thanksgiving?
I mean, he's basically, here, I'll give you a quote. What we are seeing as the increasing threat right now is actually acquisition of infection, a.k.a. getting sick, through small household gatherings. Particularly with Thanksgiving coming up, we think it's really important to stress the vigilance of those continued mitigation steps in the household setting, a.k.a. don't be hanging out with your family.
All right.
The best thing we can all do is go home and live alone for the next year.
Not your home with your family.
Wherever you're living
the
now.
The other place. Stay
go
there.
Go into your room, shut the door. We'll see you next summer. That would be for the best.
Now, that's not exactly a quote, but that's what Obie's taking from it.
That's my takeaway. But I mean, as long as I can mess with your departure time as long as you arrive next summer.
Oh, you're going to have a wonderful trip.
Wow. Not only are you already awake, but you're listening to The Riot? Your day is off to a pretty rough start. The Riot on RadioU.
Listen, I know, Nikki. I know what you're going to say. You've seen this. You're familiar. You've probably had one. But I've never seen one before.
What is it?
It's a hot chocolate bomb.
The one that you put into the cup with the hot stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a bath bomb.
So what it is it looks like just a big chocolatey yum-yum.
Yeah. Is that a technical term?
It is. And you put it in.
You put the yum-yum in the cup.
You put it in the cup, and then you pour hot milk on it slowly. And at first, I'm watching this, and I was like, I knew there had to be a magic moment. This is just a video that I'm looking at. And they're pouring it, and like you're starting to see it melt a little bit, and there's like little bits. And then all of a sudden, this little bonbon, this is what it really looks like it starts to turn over, and then it breaks in half, and all of these marshmallows spill out. And it's probably the best thing I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe there's been something better, but I don't know what it is.
But it looks nice.
That's incredible. Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
How do we get more of that?
And you've never seen that before?
No.
That's like a Instagram or Facebook video, in between. You always see something like that.
See, not me. I don't spend as much time just scrolling in the TikTok, Instagram world as perhaps you do.
You're missing out.
This was a friend of mine that sent this along, and I want it.
You can do, like, for tea users, there's flowers that open up and bloom. And then, of course, the hot chocolate ones and coffee ones. Like, there's a bunch of bombs. Which, when you take that out of context.
I know.
Dessert bombs.
I know. I hear you. I'm just telling you that I'm looking at it, and it's blowing my mind.
I think you want to find one from a,
reputable source?
Yeah, I could see going to Amazon and buying a hot chocolate bomb and be like, well, that was just kind of blah. You need to go to a gourmet hot chocolate bomb.
I think you're 100% correct. I think that you're going to have to go to that specialty store that charges way too much for chocolate. And then discover how awesome it is.
Yeah, you got to find something either local or just a little bit more special than a generic one.
Okay.
It was bad enough the first time around, but now it's worse. Don't believe us? Just keep listening. You'll find out soon enough. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
So let's talk about your dog, Nikki.
Yeah, I have 3 dogs.
According to this study. Now, keep in mind, the study is in Hungary. It's a Hungarian study.
Sure.
And they looked at border collies.
Oh, I love those.
You could argue that different breeds, different whatever.
Sure.
But they found that by the time they were 3 years old, your dog is basically in a midlife crisis.
Well, I mean, they do. Their age is faster than ours.
They say that they essentially lose interest in new experiences.
Yeah.
And they basically become bored with life.
So their 3 is like in the 20s. For us?
Well, see, for us, a 20s, that they would call that a quarter life crisis.
Yeah, but they're saying for dogs, it's a midlife crisis?
They say that they no longer seek novelty after the age of 3. And these are, again, their words, not mine. They say that their levels of activity, tolerance, frustration, and sociability seem to maintain themselves.
Yeah.
But seeking novelty, a.k.a. I want to have some fun.
Destroying my stuff.
Right.
They actually do stop doing that stuff.
Right. And they're just
and they say 3.
Yeah. Because your dog gets old and it doesn't see the point in living anymore.
Well, I don't think it's that negative, but I think they just calm down is what I always assume. They just get old enough to stop doing those childish puppy things.
Okay. If that's what you say. That's not what the Hungarians are saying. They're saying that, look, at some point,
they don't care anymore.
Your dog's just had enough.
Man, I count down to that day. my 2 puppies, my younger ones, they're a year and a half, and any day now. Even though they sleep and lay in bed a lot more than they used to, they still love a good plant now and then.
So they say that one of the things that are rare in studies around dogs is studying the same dogs over long spans of time.
Oh,
they say
that's
usually
interesting.
they study dogs for 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
That's it. And in this case, they did their study with the dogs, 217 of them originally, and brought 37 of them back 4 years later. So they had the exact same dogs, and that's where some of their data has come from.
That's like sometimes they'll do that with humans and it'll be, hey, this study was like 20 years long.
Right.
And it's interesting to get that information based on one individual or one pet for a longer span of time.
Actually, if you go and look, I can't remember what it's called, but there is a study that was done on humans that is like 30 years long, and a lot of studies that things that you read, they use that experimental data.
Oh, from that
and
for
they
theirs.
extrapolate from that. So yeah, they just don't do that with dogs very often.
Well, you hear that, cinnamon and sugar? Come on.
Calm down.
Okay.
Your time is coming.
One of them started shredding a paper plate yesterday, so we really got to get this leveled down.
In fairness, I mean, that sounds like fun.
I know, but I just want him to look at the plate and be like, nah, I'm too lazy. I don't even want to do that.
Oh, Nikki, look at you. She's looking forward to their later existential crisis years where they're like, what's the point of even shredding a plate?
No, I don't need them doubting and having, emotional issues. I don't need that. But I do want them to just look and say, I don't need to shred that. It's fine.
They turn into Descartes and they're like, is there even a plate?
Yeah.
We would give the Riot flowers to show our appreciation, but Obadiah's probably allergic. What isn't he allergic to? This is the Riot on RadioU.
We did it!
We watched a movie trailer.
We did it!
I even feel like I haven't watched a movie trailer in forever.
I agree with
that's been really weird.
I actually thought, it's like, what the hell has it been since you watched just a trailer?
It's been a long time. I mean, a game trailer, yeah, but a movie trailer, no.
I actually have avoided trailers for movies over the last couple of months because it's like, look, they're not coming out, so there's no point in getting excited about them.
You can just wait on it. But this one, they're saying they're still going to push to theaters in December.
Yes. Now, will they?
But this will be Monster Hunter. They actually pushed it forward. It was supposed to be next year.
It was.
And then they pushed it to December because there's nothing else.
Is that true? I thought it was supposed to be out like August of this year.
I thought it was supposed to be next year, and they actually moved it forward.
Here we are. Like, it's all rumors now. Nobody knows what's true. Nobody knows. All we know is that it looks like. But you know what? The trailer looks good. And as someone I've spent some time with Monster Hunter World.
Which is a game.
This is a whole series of games, but the latest one is the one that has really taken off, and it's done very well worldwide. And so I have played a little bit of that, and the assumption has been about this movie, because they haven't really shown you much, that they would really shy away from like a lot of the game stuff and try to just make it into a generic action movie. I know enough about the game to know that, oh no.
That's all the game stuff?
It looks like they're leaning straight into it. Now, the setup is different.
Yeah.
Because the idea is it looks like she is a sergeant, like something like she's in charge of a group of soldiers, and they get sucked into
the monster
world of Monster Hunter.
So the monsters, though, from the game, they're not like monsters in anything else. They're not like recognizable ones. They're just from the game.
They just look like every other monster we come up with. But I mean, yeah. So the idea is in the game, you're a monster hunter, and that's what you do. And so it seems like in this, she'll become a monster hunter so the monsters don't come to our world. Which is great.
It's good. It looked pretty good.
I actually thought it looked good. And
we're all desperate enough to where... I don't know if I'd go to the theater to see it, but we were saying off air, like, this seems like a perfect movie. They should do a digital release with it as well at the same time, but they're doing the only in theaters.
Yeah. Okay. If we ended up in a world where this movie and movies like it come out and they're $20, and you basically have to buy it, but the theater becomes not an option, Do you once a month drop $20 on a movie
It
and watch
depends.
it?
I preferred the dropping 30 and I had it compared to the dropping 20 and you're just technically
that's what
renting it.
Like if it was, let's say 20, 25, 30, whatever, you would pay for it once.
If I bought it, yes, I would prefer that. If they did digital releases and instead of trying to get, you got 2 days with it, if they just understood, fine, you just own the movie, you're just buying it right then and there, I would go for that.
Yeah.
And I'd pay more for that.
No, the thing about that is, Nikki, what they'd like to do is they'd like you to pay $20 to rent it and then $30 to buy it later.
Like 2 months later. Yeah. That's exactly what they want you to do. I don't know if Monster Hunter is that style.
Okay. Not quite there yet.
So we'll see. That's supposed to be cool, though. Supposed to be in theaters. It looks like some of the. I haven't watched a Resident Evil movie in forever, but I remember the one where it was more like in a desert or something. And when I was watching that, it looked like, that's probably the same desert, isn't it?
The Riot really wanted to do this live, but now they can play video games and eat rice cakes instead. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
Bad news this morning. A real blow towards the fall holiday season as Beverly Hills has announced that they will not be allowing trick-or-treating this year.
Oh, is this what we're supposed to be looking at? Mm-hmm. Do they always do any trick-or-treating?
I guess they do.
How does that look like? And do you go to Beverly Hills in the past? Like that, that was the good neighborhood to go to.
That is exactly what I want to know.
Are they getting full-size stuff out?
There are neighborhoods where they're really good
you would go
places
there. Yep.
to go trick-or-treating, and then maybe places that are not as good.
Not as generous, let's say, with the candy.
And I get this feeling that Beverly Hills could have been a really great place to trick-or-treat.
I guess not this time.
So,
in LA,
not anymore.
They had said a few months ago, they were basically saying in the beginning that trick-or-treating and all the holiday around Halloween, so like haunted houses and stuff would be canceled. And then people were pretty upset about it. So they backtracked and said, all right, for trick-or-treating, here's the suggestions on how you can do it safely, even though they suggest you probably not do it.
Okay. All right. Well, guess what we got here, Nikki?
You got to know.
We got Beverly Hills just outright canceling.
It's weird. Like for my neighborhood, everybody's been not really arguing, but it's been a topic on Facebook because I must have 2 counties in our one neighborhood.
Sure.
And so one would celebrate on Halloween trick or treat, and then half the neighborhood would be doing it on the day before.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to unify everybody to pick like one date with it.
Right.
But they're still supposed to have it.
Yeah, no, I belong to the official Facebook group of
your neighborhood?
Yeah, of the neighborhood and the city I live in, because they communicate that way. And so I have gone and looked, and every year they argue about what day trick-or-treat will happen.
Yeah, what day to do it.
People are passionate about anything. I mean, just go online. They've got a real strong argument for it. So there's that. But then also this year, the big argument has been the government can't tell us whether or not we can have it.
So that's been the argument there.
All right. Okay.
All right. So we're doing this.
So the municipality in which I reside has gone public, and they're like, yeah, it's still on. It's at this time on this day.
And then everybody just posts about the candy cannon, or like, well, how are they going to get the candy out?
I always hand out candy, but like I'm not going to be around this year.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'll be out of town.
Oh, then that's worse. It looks like you're making a statement.
I know. I hate that.
Your neighbors are going to be so mad.
I actually hate that.
They're like, part of the reason, he wanted to stick his head in the sand.
Part of the reason I was like, nah, I'm just going to be out of town was I just assumed there was no chance.
Yeah, there'd be trick-or-treat.
That there was going to be any trick-or-treating. Otherwise, I would have stuck around.
And if you're leaving a few days before Halloween, it's not like you could just leave the bowl out early. It'll be all gone.
I had a very similar thought.
Well, just leave an empty bowl out that says, please just take one, but don't put any candy in it. And then on Halloween, it'll look like someone got there and just took it all.
Probably one of the ugliest suggestions you've ever made.
You mean it'll work?
The idea
do that all the time.
That I would lie to people.
Oh, they totally do that. If you're not going to be there, they totally do that.
No, yeah, set candy out, but set out an empty bowl that says, whoops, the candy's all gone.
That's what they do. If they don't want to actually put anything out.
I'll put out a bowl that says, all of the dreams I saw realized in 2020.
No,
and it's just a big empty bowl on the porch.
You need to put it out and then put some sort of political statement on it, or like postpone to 21. And just make it like a horrible thing.
You're listening to The Riot. Let's all work together today to live life with the patience of a Nikki dealing with an Obadiah.
Gotta hang in there and get through it.
You're listening to The Riot.
So I read something about Cinderella a couple days ago that I thought about sharing, and I was like, no, it's...
You don't want
and
to?
Then I read it again last night because I haven't been able to shake the idea.
What you read?
And I went back and read it again last night. And this morning I drove in. I mean, I was listening to an album, but the entire time I just kept thinking about it over and over again. And its implications for me personally.
Sure.
I am a princess. And no. But here was the idea.
If you were a Disney princess.
Right. The idea was this. Is that when Cinderella got to go to the ball, the fairy godmother said, hey, you got to be back by midnight. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, come on. How many parents have said that, right? You got to be back by midnight. And Cinderella didn't ask why. She never asked why.
She didn't question?
She was just so excited to go to the ball. She was like, I'm in. And she just went. And, of course, you know the rest of the story, blah, blah, blah. But that she never asked why. And I have thought about that because this guy, his idea was, look, this is the way it works with God. Sometimes God's going to throw at you, listen, you get to go to the ball, but don't blank. And rather than be excited about going to the ball, we're furious that we have to be home by midnight.
About the why part.
I can't stop thinking about it because, dude, I can't tell you how many times in my life and in my relationship with God, God is trying to show me to live a certain way, act a certain way, do a certain thing. And he's like, hey, it's going to be easier. This is better. You should this, you should that. And I'm like, who do you think you are to tell me that I have got to have the carriage back here by midnight? I'm not happy about the carriage. I'm not thrilled for the chance to get the pretty dress. I can't wait to get to the ball. All I can think about is, who are you to tell me to be back by midnight?
That's fascinating. I've never even heard that before.
Never. I've never thought about it. And in the last 3 days, it's all I've thought about.
You're like, I wonder what Obi's thinking about the most. This is it.
I just keep thinking about it because it reflects my own character so much where I'm like, wow. And so it's something I've been talking to God about. Is like, you know, how many times does God want something better for me? And all I do is look at him like, who do you think you are? I don't know if that hits home with you, but it hits home with me. And that's one of the things that I've been talking to Jesus about over the last couple of days. It's just like, hey, man, where are the places where I'm doing this? And can we do things a little differently? You see, God is offering us a different kind of life. Jesus loves you very much. And he wants to show you a different way to go about things. He wants to heal hurts. He wants to help. But a lot of times we, look down our nose at him because we don't like, well, you're not helping the way I say you should help or whatever. I would just encourage you, if you've never met God for who he is, if you've always been like, yeah, but why this, why that? I personally am going to try to give God a little more benefit of the doubt over the next, the coming weeks. Maybe you want to do the same thing. If you don't have a relationship with him, you can just say, Jesus, I want you. I want you in my life. I want you to fill me with your spirit. I want to see things the way you do, and I want to learn what you're trying to teach me.
Using advanced technology, we've digitized and transcoded Obadiah and Nikki into a purely digital format. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
You guys don't know this, but off air, Nikki and I are more and more like we're intertwining our lives. We are more and more becoming coffee friends.
I don't know. I still don't like it. I just don't, but
Nikki,
I'm just very tired this week, so.
What you just described
is why everybody drinks coffee.
That's how it starts.
Ugh, it just tastes
Oh, yeah. I know how it is, but you keep pouring a ton of creamer in it because you're like, oh, this is good.
And I don't think the creamer, I brought some from home. I don't think it works with our coffee. So
what did you bring?
I brought...
First off, pause. You have creamer at home?
Yeah, I do. But it's sugar-free, and I think that's why.
Well, I'll tell you what that tells me. You're primed and ready.
To just embrace it more.
That's right.
But I got a sugar-free one because I was like, oh, okay, I tend to pour a lot of creamer in, and if you don't look at some of the nutritional information on it, man, it can stack up.
Why would you?
When you put in as much as I do, it can be pretty bad. So I was like, oh, I'll just try the zero sugar one, and I don't think that's why it works with the coffee. It just doesn't taste very good.
Okay.
The sugar really is what helps it.
It helps.
It does.
So yesterday you were drinking pumpkin spice creamer.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
So did you not like the pumpkin spice, you think?
Yeah, I did not like it.
Okay. So I thought you liked that creamer, though.
No, I liked the French vanilla one we had next to the pumpkin one.
Okay.
And that was full sugar. That was delicious. I even had whipped cream. We're out of that now. I used it up. It's not optimal today.
So what you're saying is we just need to take a little trip.
Yeah,
we need to stock
store.
up on some supplies.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Just missing a few things to make it a perfect experience.
I am guilty of the fact that when I used to drink creamer, I always made sure there was creamer. Maybe not always made sure, but I frequently made sure that we had a deluxe yum kind
selection
of creamer. Yeah.
I really want one. It just would be amazing. But
what about a good peppermint creamer? That's year round now. And I'll tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to dump creamer in, you can't get better.
Well, wasn't there like a cookie dough one or something like that? I've been thinking about it.
I'll tell you what, there probably is. I don't remember that, but I do remember the Girl Scout Thin Mint creamer.
That's what I want without sugar. But it's not possible.
I hate to break it to you.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's going to happen, Nikki. Pretty soon you're going to be like me. You're just going to be brewing it black. You're just like, you know what? Why would you put something in it?
Are people really still listening to the Riot? You don't have work to do or laundry to fold or literally anything else to do? The Riot, Radio U.
So we're talking coffee, and Nikki
is unhappy with my creamer choice.
She is.
I might as well just throw it out.
I'm looking through some potential coffee creamers, and Nikki says that she has found the one.
Well, let's see. Bethany was saying that I think her husband does the Cinnamon Toast Crunch one, which sounds amazing. I saw that. I have a grocery order to pick up on Friday.
Okay.
So tomorrow, and I thought, I can add that one. And then Max was saying the Cinnabon one is good.
I think I've had that before.
Have you?
Cinnabon, yeah, I think we've actually tried the Cinnabon one, and I recall it being pretty good. So
it could work. But I was scrolling through and I saw Elf has a sugar cookie one.
Okay, when you say Elf does, you mean like Buddy the Elf?
Yeah, he's on the bottle.
Okay. So, I actually think a sugar cookie creamer could be good. Sometimes, now I know that a lot of times we'll lean towards a complicated flavor, but when it comes for coffee creamer, I think sometimes a sweet, uncomplicated flavor
is better. My issue is I want a sugar cookie.
Well, yeah.
So I think that the flavor sounds good, but what I really want is just the cookie. Flavor can't live up to it 100%.
Never. It never can. It's not like ice cream where you can get it and you're like, this might actually be better than a sugar cookie, and it has chunks of sugar cookie in it. Coffee doesn't work that way.
So this is the one that I think is me, and you guys might not know this, but I do have a fascination with this cake, but it's a funfetti creamer.
Really?
I'm getting it.
Adding. But doesn't funfetti, it doesn't have a flavor. Isn't it just cake, but it looks a different color?
Oh, no. The flavor might be like a placebo sort of thing. It's not a real thing.
You just believe it?
Oh, it's so happy. I bet it's got some vanilla notes into it. And some sprinkles.
Okay.
So I'm going to try that one.
You know what? Who am I to question the Nikki?
So if I get the Elf sugar cookie one and the funfetti, I think that might...
Oh, those we could taste test those.
That'll do well.
That'll do pig.
Well, don't say pig with it.
That'll do.
I mean, I know that's from Babe, but don't say it.
Still.
Oh, is there a Snickers?
Yeah, actually, that's funny. That's the one I had pulled up because I just assumed that Coffee Mate has a Snickers flavor.
Add again. I'll get all three of them. Who cares? Who cares? All right, that's enough. I think that's enough. I don't even have space for all these, so I can bring them in.
All right, so let's see. Katie just texted. She says, I got some of the seasonal creamers. There's another one with Buddy that is a waffle cookie.
Ooh, that's
like
good.
A Stroop waffle.
Yeah.
She says sugar cookie is great. I also have cookies and cocoa. And funfetti is also in my fridge. I have a problem. There are 6 creamers in my fridge.
Because I'm doing a pickup order, I don't want to order any more than 3 because the person putting together your order thinks you don't want them to know. Yeah, you don't want them to know there's an issue.
You don't have to look them in the eye.
That's true. And they're supposed to not actually talk to you. They're just supposed to put it in the back of your car.
Oh, I just chat them up.
Oh, you do? You're not supposed to.
I want to be kind to them. Look at the great service they're providing me. Thank them so much.
Well, you can thank them through the back of the car, but they're not supposed to come up to you.
Oh,
That's their rules.
All right. Deb says the elf sugar cookie isn't that good, but Funfetti is amazing.
All right. Should I skip the elf one and just go with Snickers and the Funfetti?
I don't know, though. It's elf branded. Don't you feel like, and you love elf?
I do. I'll just get all three.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Look at that. I'm acting like it's Friday. Just acting like it's
well, and the fun thing is we get the excitement of ordering it, and then we get the excitement of drinking it sometime next week.
Yeah, and I hope I'll have some sort of remorse afterwards. I want to be the full cycle.
Coffee remorse.
Just everything remorse.
Yeah.
Just looking forward to it. Whenever you are so excited about something.
I would encourage you not to get too excited.
I know.
Like, we are, at the end of this, we're not talking about you getting a Snickers bar, okay? Or a Funfetti cake.
I feel like I am.
I would encourage you that we'll bake you a Funfetti cake and get a Snickers bar, and then you can get excited.
Okay, but otherwise I am just getting creamer.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the worst of the Riot podcast.
Nikki, I apologize in advance for the invasive and personal nature of this question.
Sure, but you have a question?
What's your blood type?
My blood type? That's a good question. I don't think I remember. I think I'm the most common one.
Okay.
I only had it when you have a surgery done, you get your blood type matched and stuff.
Oh, you didn't do your blood type in high school?
I had the only big surgery I had was in high school,
okay.
And so it was at that time when I don't think I remember being told from then.
In advanced bio, we did our blood types.
Oh, did you?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I know there was always that. What's your blood type and what's your diet? Like they're supposed to go together.
Blood type diet.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But no, I don't remember it. But I think I'm the most common one.
So according to this new study that is coming out about SARS-CoV-2 infection, this would be the virus that causes COVID-19. They say that people with people that grope blood.
Oh.
Blood group O. So that would be O positive and O negative. They say that you are, according to the recent data, far less likely
to get it
than someone who does not have O blood.
Wonder if I can log into my doctor's portal. I'm sure I can find out there, can't I?
Why don't we let's go get your blood taken?
No.
Have them do a little test. Find out.
I'm fine with blood being taken, but I don't really want to unless I need to.
I'm not fine with it. I hate it.
Well, your veins don't want to give it up.
They don't.
You're not one to get your blood taken.
I don't like it.
Mine are just yeah, sure, okay.
Have some blood.
Do we get candy when we're done?
So they do say that it's a slightly smaller risk.
Yeah, not much.
If you hear me saying this and you're like, see, I told you I was invincible. You might want to rethink that, but they are saying it is a slightly reduced risk. However, you will not be treated any differently.
So if you're O positive or O negative?
Yeah. What do you think I am, Nikki? O positive or O negative?
Are you an O?
What's my name?
It doesn't actually go that way. And I would say you're a negative, but I don't know if that's just your personality.
I don't remember.
You don't remember either?
No, I'm sure I've got it written down somewhere, but whatever.
You only need it, when something important comes up. And then you're sure if something important came up that you'd be at the place where they could find out anyway. So.
Probably, yeah.
It's okay.
What kind of blood do you have? Red.
Can you run that? And then just let me know, too? I'll make a little note on it just so I remember in the future.
Put it on my chart?
Yeah.
If I live through this, I want to be able to answer that question.
Well, I want to find out and see what it is.
Well, I gave blood a couple years ago. I sure they told me. Still don't remember.
See, again, it's just not everybody remembers it.
Boy, the Red Cross knows, though. They're reaching out all the time.
Well, in some parts of the country, though, in different parts, your blood type is very important.
Yeah.
It goes with who you date and what you eat and all this stuff. It's a level. Oh, yeah.
Who you date?
It's in Korea. Oh, yeah, absolutely. In other parts of Asian countries where your blood type is supposed to say a lot about you. It's almost like, your sign and stuff. You would be more compatible with someone of this blood type or that blood type, or you're maybe not as good because you have this blood type.
That's made up.
Yeah, we'll tell them that. I mean, it's not something we do.
I would be happy to take my terribly egocentric view. That's made up. Your blood type doesn't matter that much.
Exactly. Well, some people think it does.
Yeah. Well, they're wrong.
The Riot RadioU.
So while we're talking about COVID-19 and blood, let's talk about what is allegedly taking place at BYU. That would be Brigham Young University. They say that there are students there that are trying to get COVID-19.
Or it's similar to, don't people have it with kids with the pox parties, like chicken pox and stuff?
Yes.
Where you go to make sure to try to get it. Now, COVID is a different case, though. It's not to be treated the same.
Well, and there are different reasons why these BYU students are...
Do they want out of class and stuff?
Nope. It's better than that.
Is there money? Can they be a part of a study?
Yep.
Whoa.
All of a sudden, if you sell plasma, if you've had COVID-19, your plasma is worth so much more money.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa. I never thought of that.
I talked to somebody that said that if you get COVID-19, they sell plasma, that you just get flat an extra $100 for every time you sell plasma.
Really?
If you've had COVID-19.
So now they're trying to have it to then be able to get the extra cash?
That's correct.
Oh, I wouldn't be wanting to risk that. Even though I know a lot of people college age you're fine with it, but you wouldn't want to risk that if you had a condition of something.
Well, certainly not. The other thing that's difficult about something like that is a lot of times pre-existing conditions go undiagnosed.
You don't know about it yet.
So you think you're super healthy, but you're actually not, and you don't, or at least you're more susceptible to certain things, but you don't find out until something bad happens. Mm-hmm. Man, I didn't know there was a bee's nest in there until I hit it. And now I know because I'm covered in bee stings.
And is plasma something you could do every week, or what's the turnaround on it?
I think you can do that every week.
Every week? I don't know if an extra $100 every week is quite worth that risk with your health. But
no, well, let me put it to you this way. I don't think it is, but
some people do.
If I got COVID-19 and you were telling me I could make $150 to $200 a week by selling plasma, I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
That's true. If you already had it, yes. But the COVID parties, it doesn't sound well on this end.
So that's basically what they're saying, is that it's happening. So
and that's at Brigham Young University?
Yeah, but do I know it's happening other places? Because again, I've talked to people that are like, yeah, I hope I get it because I can.
People are just having parties, but you're saying they're specifically having. That means you got to find someone who has it and you got to bring them in.
Here's what it comes down to. On Monday, the university issued an email to all students saying, hey, if we find out that you're engaged in activities to intentionally get COVID-19,
you're in trouble.
We will expel you.
So Kaylee in Utah said you can donate plasma twice a week. Okay. Oh, maybe that is why.
Well, I don't want to donate it. I want to sell it.
You get paid, yes. I believe you always get paid. You donate blood, you can get paid for plasma. You sell that.
Creeps me out, man. It's too hard to get blood out of me. I'm not doing it.
So how would plasma be? Is it the same way? Or?
Well, as I understand it, if you donate plasma, they pull blood, it runs through a centrifuge, and then they put the blood back and the plasma comes out.
Oh, I see.
Now, again, that's me. I think that's how that works. I've never gone because the last time Nikki and I went to donate blood, I almost passed out and threw up.
He had a little harder of a time, and it just isn't your thing, and that's fine. And just not everybody's meant to.
Yeah. And boy, they ask some weird questions when you go to do that.
They have some things they want to know.
Yeah.
All right, so if you've
had COVID-19
and if you sell plasma
and you're looking to make some extra money.
Let's not say it that way. Let's just say we've now found out that they pay more money if you've had COVID with your plasma.
Worst of the Riot podcast.
It's a little embarrassing.
Not the yawning part.
Yawn.
He's fine with that. He's comfortable.
You know what, Nikki? I just want to spend some money.
Yeah, you do?
I do. It's what's sad. It's I've saved money to get to this point in the year, and I was supposed to buy something.
Sure.
I was supposed to buy a PlayStation, I was supposed to buy an Oculus, or I was supposed to buy a graphics card. And
hasn't done any of that.
I'm not buying anything. And so I'm just like, today's the day? Is today the day?
You're not the only person. Sometimes you really feel like you want to buy something. And it's not like just I want to treat myself, but like you've been saving up and you had that as a marker in the year.
Right.
Where if you worked hard, this was going to be something that you would get to enjoy.
Yeah. And now it's like,
I still think you'll get the Oculus. It's just why don't get it yet until you can really use it.
I thought about that. I've thought about like, hey, you've saved the money. Get a PlayStation so that in the years to come, you'll have it to get the games with it, maybe.
Don't do that. You can wait a while with that. Come on, I'm going to talk you off that one.
I'm going to tell you that's where I've been with all this stuff I've looked at, where I'm like, bro, you don't need to buy something that bad. Oculus. Like, what do you need? You're going to be so excited for about 3 hours, and then you'll just be like, well, what's the next thing to be excited about?
I think it's hard because you're traveling at Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And
my next month is kind of weird.
It's going to be busier, so I think you should wait until closer to Christmas where you might actually get a few dollars off of it or something that comes with it, because you're not going to be able to enjoy it. If you don't have the time to enjoy it, then you're going to get mad and then you're going to just sell it again.
Yeah, I hear you. What I'm telling you now is like I'm just frustrated by the impetus that multiple times a day I'm like, oh, I want to buy something. And it's like, there's this other part of me that's like, would you please stop? I am so tired of having to 14 times a day tell you no, to tell you that we're not doing that right now.
You got to talk yourself down from it.
It's one of the reasons I'm not on Reddit anymore, because I'm like, I can't look at other people spending their money. It makes me want to spend mine, and like on and on and on. And yet still, as much as this half of me is like, just shut up and wait, the other half of me is like, oh my gosh, empty the account, buy anything.
Let's go. And it's not a case of to where
it's like a junkie looking for a fix.
And you can't buy something small. Like, I mean, you got a couple of 4K Nikki, things, but
I have plenty
of small things.
I don't need to buy anything. The most reasonable thing that could come out of this conversation is that I agree that when the Xbox comes out next month, I buy all that stuff's going to come out on the PC. I just buy myself games one at a time.
Sure.
Enjoy them. And then when I'm done enjoying one, the price on the other one will probably come down and I just enjoy that one. But that's not what I want.
I know.
I want to make a mountain of stuff. I want a Scrooge McDuck building full of stuff that I can just swim around in.
Can you buy it and just return it? Is it just the high that you need or something?
No, what we've got to do is this materialistic junkie has got to stop. Stop feeding him.
He's pointing a lot. You just can't see it.
He won't shut up inside.
I'm sorry you feel that way. That is a frustration that I think we all feel every so often.
I gave during the last fundraiser, and all I got was this crappy morning show. This is The Riot on listener-supported RadioU.
So, Nikki, what do you think about that new Star Trek show that started last night?
So there was one. I saw a banner ad for something, and it looked like Star Trek, but I couldn't catch what it was.
Star Trek Discovery started their 3rd season. It actually, I think it might have hit at 10 p.m. last night, but it's available today.
So is that the one that they also started airing on CBS, the first season?
Yeah, they're showing the first season there, and then...
But streaming-wise on All Access, they're on their 3rd season.
Yes. Now, Nikki and I have a tendency to mock CBS All Access because we think it's dumb.
Not dumb, but there's just not anything there that we're interested. Similar to our feelings towards Peacock.
Peacock is really... It actually is dumb.
We had a very hard time with that one. But if you have a show that you like, then that's fine.
Right. But we found out yesterday at lunch that we're going to have to be careful making fun of CBS All Access because
we don't want to hurt her feelings.
Sydney has it now.
So Sydney, the host of the IRS, she is After Us.
She's an actor. Oh my gosh, she's an acronym person because her show is an acronym.
She's into acronym shows like NCIS and CSI.
SWAT. Is that an acronym or is it just 4 letters? I think it's just 4 letters.
No, I bet you it stands for something.
Special Weapons and Tactics, but I mean...
That works.
Okay, sure.
I was going to say Sweet Weapons, but that's not it.
It's not
so she started a new show, and it's also an acronym.
Yes, she did. She's watching Jag.
It's some old show.
From 400 years ago.
I think, you know what's really bad? I think she's enjoying it.
I know she
which
is.
Is great. I'm glad she has something that she likes, but it's just fascinating to us, so she's into it.
Nikki, Jag ran for 10 seasons, 227 episodes.
There's plenty. She always picks these shows that have a lot.
That's enough for Sydney. It'll take her like at least 3 days to get through that.
It might take more.
She is slowly but surely. A lot of people, like when you go to, I don't know that we hear this a lot now, but they would talk about being well-read. He's well-read. Meaning, you've read the classics, you've read the this, you've read the that. She is on her way to being well-watched.
Yeah, for sure.
She has seen it all.
She likes military presence in shows or just like police and stuff. But did she ever get into like Law and Order, or is it really just all the CBS shows?
I don't know. I'm looking here at JAG. It started September 23rd, 1995. Mm-hmm. It ran until April 29th, 2005.
When we were talking about it, because it is such an older show, it was interesting because for TV, you can watch an older show, but where's the line at for you? You can watch a show that's a couple years old that'll feel more dated to you because you know that that's the model before, what you use, or that's a few things older. Whereas if you're watching a show from like the 90s, things were more different. Yeah. And it just doesn't feel as old to you. It just seems like the show is set in an old time.
Well, I'm sure there's a word for it, but for me, it's that thing where you see it with video games as well. They do something like, it's retro.
Yeah.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So I promised you guys a food prank, but I need you got to walk with us before we get into exactly what it is. Though you may figure it out once we tell you.
Yeah, it's possible.
Dunkin Donuts has unveiled a new donut for Halloween. It is Spooky Donuts.
Spooky Donuts.
Where did the hole come from?
No.
It's your grave, Ebenezer. Okay, so they have unveiled the spicy ghost pepper donut.
Yeah, they're doing that.
So here's the idea. It's a classic ring topped with strawberry icing that features a blend of cayenne and ghost pepper.
With red sanding sugar on top, like the sprinkle sugar?
Yes, indeed. So it's a very spicy donut, or so they say.
I think it started yesterday, and that'll be available until December. So you actually get a pretty good amount of time with it.
If you told me that this donut was, in fact, a peppermint donut that's an early Christmas donut, it 1,000% looks exactly like that.
It actually looks like a peppermint donut, that's where the prank part comes in.
Mm-hmm. You could get this and say to a friend like, hey, you want to try this new peppermint donut from Dunkin Donuts? And they would say yes. And then they would take a bite and be like, this doesn't taste very much. My mouth is on fire!
So you can do that as a prank. I
hate what you've done to me. What have I become?
I think it's okay, especially if you followed it up and had more normal donuts with it. You'd be just fine. I wonder how hot it is.
Probably not that hot.
Every time we get a food fight item that's like spicy, it's just bland spicy.
That when
like
you go...
the spicy nuggets from McDonald's, they're not. The sauce, it's not.
Mainstream hot has an upper limit. Mm-hmm. It really does.
They just wouldn't go above it.
Right. And then you've got what is like that specialty shop heat or that raw pepper heat.
Now,
that's not
that
what
does. We're not doing that.
That puts you on the ground and you do the hiccups.
Yeah.
The hiccups thing is so funny. It's terrible for the poor people that are burning up inside.
Yeah, if you eat something too hot, a lot of people hiccup then right away.
They do. It's wild to see. So that's my idea. That's my food prank. See, it's not the best.
So you could get the ghost pepper Dunkin Donuts donut.
And tell them it's a peppermint donut.
And tell them and just see. But I think you would smell it with the cayenne. So if you paid attention, you might actually be able to notice or just wonder before you ate it.
I thought that very same thing, that maybe it would just be like, I can smell this. This is obviously not peppermint. And you're never this nice. Why did you bring me a donut?
They're expecting Dunkin' Donuts, so they're expecting things to be a little bit more difficult for them with a creative donut, since it's still post or current for some area COVID problems, because you just can't have the same traction with people going into the store.
Okay, sure.
Going and embracing this food challenge, this new thing. So I think that's why you're seeing this donut where normally the ghost pepper donut for Halloween would really only kind of last around Halloween.
Oh, so that's why they're letting it drag out until December.
So this one you'll be able to experience into December, and they're just giving a little bit more time. They're currently working on, remodeling stores so it's more digital friendly, more of a drive-through experience, less of going in. So that might be why they're just giving it a little extra time.
You know what I want? Somebody get me a peanut butter and chocolate donut.
That sounds good. No need to prank with that one.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.
It's the time of love for the coyotes.